Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm going to be featuring the Zieten once again. Now I have been playing this ship basically non-stop since I got it out of one of the early access crates, and I've also been playing my Massachusetts trying to figure out where this new German battlecruiser line stands with one of my favorite ships to play, with specifically a secondary build. This German battlecruiser line has by far the best secondaries in the game, due in part to the fact that they all have very long-range secondaries. Most of them have accurate secondaries. All of them have more secondaries than any of the other battleships at the tier, and the rate of fire simply allows you to get a ton of secondary hits, which will deal damage and start fires. Now moving on to the game. Estuary, one of my favorite maps, but one of my least favorite spawns here. I do like to go to the left of the spawn island and try to push up to the cap here. And you can see why most of the time the north spawn, that spawn in front of us, will try to go to that outside island and use that to push up the flank. Something I forgot to mention in my first Z10 video was that these German battlecruisers have very good concealment, so when I came around the corner I was able to surprise that Miyoko, and I was able to chunk him for more than half of his HP. As I push up to this island, this enemy Kansas is still just pushing in, and my secondaries are just farming him. And as you can see, I've already racked up more than 50 secondary hits, and now all I'm going to do is just stay angled here and let my secondaries farm him. Now if you take a look at the minimap, you can see that there is a battleship coming over to this right flank from the middle spawn, which is one of the reasons why I like to push this spot specifically, because I can focus my fire on the team that is pushing the flank and also not put myself into a crossfire. If I had tried to push the flank, I would have had to stay angled towards the enemy team that went around the island, and then the battleships that came from mid would have my broadside. Also, looking at the map, we don't typically have that great of island cover in terms of pushing in on the flank. There are islands there on the right, but those islands you would have to either use to disengage by turning away and basically kiting, or if you wanted to try and use them to push in, you would actually have to reverse or turn away and go all the way around, which would simply take too long, so those islands aren't entirely effective in terms of pushing in. And the real only island we would have is the island that they're trying to go around, or the small island in the cap. But with a battleship coming over from mid, we definitely wouldn't really stand any chance because we are in a crossfire. Now this friendly black has laid a smoke screen, and since I won't get spotted when my secondaries are firing because there's no smoke firing penalty, all I'm going to do now is just let my secondaries farm these enemy battleships. And as you can see, these secondaries are just absolutely going off, and they are landing and starting fires. Unfortunately, the Kansas is running and going to reach the edge of my firing range very soon, and the enemy Bismarck has gone behind the island. Now we still have an enemy Nagato and that Miyoko somewhere behind those islands, and all I'm going to do here is just be patient and wait for these ships to make a move. I do need to be careful because if I stay here too long, I will just simply be stuck here and not really be able to escape because all of these ships will be so close. I check my smoke firing penalty to see if I would be able to dev strike this Miyoko and then go unspotted with that Kansas not spotting me. Unfortunately, the smoke firing penalty is 14 kilometers, so as soon as I shoot that Miyoko, I need to start moving and angling in because the Kansas and Nagato will definitely shoot at me. And unfortunately, the Bismarck comes out at the last moment there. I am in a bit of trouble now because that Bismarck is pushing down the flank, and I have the enemy Nagato and Kansas going the opposite direction, and they are putting me into a crossfire. My main hope is to try and get rid of the enemy Kansas as quickly as I can so that I have less ships to worry about, especially ones that can overmatch my bow. Although being angled and having my secondaries firing on both sides is quite a spectacular sight to behold, I do launch some torpedoes at this Bismarck in hopes that he keeps sailing in a straight line, trying to get around the island in order to shoot at my broadside. I do start moving forward and I get hit pretty hard by that enemy Kansas, and now I have less than 7,000 health remaining. Unfortunately, that salvo at the Kansas did not finish him off, and something you will notice is that my black actually got spotted by shooting, and the Bismarck does start to focus the destroyer, and is also not really paying any attention to the fact that I can launch torpedoes at him, and I'm able to dev strike him, which I am very fortunate to have done. I am on very low HP, and the Nagato went behind the island, so I just need to survive one last salvo, and I do, and now I am unspotted, and I am going to be able to use my heal and get back a lot of health. Now this Nagato is still pushing this flank behind the island, so what I want to try to do here is get close to the island and use my sonar, since the sonar can detect ships at 5.6 kilometers, which is a pretty far range. As I move towards the island, I actually get spotted by their destroyer that was last spotted in mid, but since our friendly destroyer is right next to where he was last spotted, I know that he is more in their spawn, and that Kansas getting spotted means that he took a shot at me, so I just keep turning at full speed away and I use my sonar, and I'm actually able to catch the Nagato. With this Nagato being spotted, now I'm gonna try and turn away, launch torpedoes without getting spotted, and see if I can dev strike him in order to conserve some of my HP. The friendly Prince Heinrich that is sitting in our spawn and hasn't really been taking any damage does chunk him for quite a bit, and he is much lower, and I only need to land a couple of torpedoes in order to kill him off. It did seem like he was slowing down, and I think my first set will miss. But I launched the second set short, thinking that he's going to turn in and slow down, which he does look like he is turning in. I use my secondary battery consumable in order to get my secondaries to start some fires, and they set a fire instantly, and he actually turns out to fire his back guns and eats 2 torpedoes, leaving him on a sliver of HP, and after damage conning that flood, he does get set on a fire right after by my secondaries. Unfortunately, my main guns can't lob the island, but he is definitely going to die to this permanent fire that my secondaries were able to set on him. I have friendly ships chiming in, and my fire finally finishes him off. So far, I was able to do 192,000 damage, and if you look at the top right, I actually have 400 secondary hits. I've used all of my consumables except my damage control parties, which, if you really think about it, is kind of insane, and I seem to have managed to use my damage cons effectively and not wasted any of them. I have been thinking about future builds, especially since they will be adding skills that increase the amount of damage control parties for these German battle cruisers. Now, if they do anything like they do for the Russian battleships, the damage control party skill will be in the 3rd row next to firefighter, and really, if you think about it, you're going to get more damage controls, but you're also going to be set on more fires in the middle of your ship, so you'll probably end up going through those damage cons a lot quicker than if you had firefighter. Thinking about this scenario, I am kind of leaning more towards simply using firefighter and having that one fire in the middle of your ship, especially when in combination with Megatron's revocation protocol. Decreasing the fire duration and only having one in the middle of your ship is turning out to be one of the best builds for this ship right now, because it simply allows you to save your damage controls and really just help you fight against HE spam. Back to the game, I'm finally able to catch up to our Prince Heinrich and get into Will to Rebuild. Without this skill, I think I definitely would have died in this game. The enemy Kutuzov and Belfast do start smoking up over there, and we do see some friendly black torpedoes heading into the smoke screen. I am hoping that those torpedoes are able to catch them and kill them off, because I have 2 damage controls remaining, no heals, and also no sonars. If those 2 cruisers are able to HE spam me, I definitely will have to use these damage cons, and then if I run out, I am going to be in a lot of trouble. The enemy Zieten is just pushing in, and he is the largest threat, especially since he can overmatch my bow. He fires a full salvo, and he does hit me for quite a bit, and he does eventually go down to one of our teammates, and now all that's left is the Kansas that is in their spawn, and these 2 cruisers in smoke. I had used my damage con a bit carelessly there in order to damage con my turret, and then a salvo of HE right after from these cruisers sets me on fire. Fortunately, I am in will to rebuild, and I know that I will survive this fire. Now, something I wasn't really thinking about at the time was the fact that the Zieten was turning out, and that means there are torpedoes, which get spotted and barely run out next to my ship. I was definitely very lucky there to have not accelerated more than I did, otherwise I would have definitely eaten that torpedo, and I was on such low HP I definitely would have died. With our team at 900 points and having 3 caps, all I really need to do now is just sit here and wait for the Belfast to make a move. Their Kansas is so far out of position, he will not be able to do anything before the battle ends. So I can just sit here and wait for the Belfast smoke to either run out or him to leave, because they are about to lose on points, and if he doesn't, then we will simply win. There are torpedoes heading for the smoke, and we are going to see if he's still in the smoke and if any of those torpedoes can catch him and kill him off. The torpedo does end up hitting the Belfast there behind the island, and now all we need to do is wait and see if he was reversing to try and dodge, or if he went forward and is basically not going to be able to shoot at us. I feel like after a few seconds, he is definitely going forward and not reversing, which means he will not be able to shoot at us, and this game is basically over, and we will win out on points. Now, I definitely do feel like these German battlecruisers are going to be the most fun ships in the game if you are able to play them and manage your damage controls effectively. In this game, I was able to do 220,000, which is the highest damage I have done so far in these ships, and I was able to get more than 400 secondary hits, which I think is the most that I've ever gotten in a standard battle. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Do leave a like and subscribe for more. Leave a comment down below for any ships you want to see in the future. But until next time, aloha.